It's just why are Legos so goddamn expensive, Dylan? I'm just a man. I just want to build various spaceships and Batmobiles in the comfort
And
of
you
my
don't
own
want to
bedroom.
you don't
Yeah,
want to put down half of a used car for
yeah, I'm not ready to. Well, I have made some investments in the past. It's not to say I'm not gonna do it, but it's just, oh my gosh, there's just so many Lego sets I want. It's just ridiculous. Has it always been this expensive, or were we just lucky as
I do
kids?
remember. I do remember like a Lego set was like a big deal, like Christmas or birthday. You know, you could get the like the $20 ones that you maybe get like one guy. I'm especially thinking, especially back in like the heyday of my Lego addiction, like Star Wars. Star Wars
Oh
Lego.
yeah.
Oh man, that was nationally like that was like Fort Knox like level high security currency. And it was like, man, I really want that. I want that episode 3 Rolly tank thing with like all the battle droids and the Wookiees and the clone troopers. It's like that thing was a God, I don't even know. I feel like I'm gonna date myself by saying like in today's money, it was probably like it
In
almost
today's
feels
dollar.
that way. Yeah. I know, I don't know. If I'm gonna play devil's advocate, if I'm gonna try to be the evil corporate Lego exec, I guess I would say that you're not paying for the spaceship or like, the Star Destroyer or the superhero, base. You're paying for the flexibility and the infinite reusability of every single piece as like a resource. It's almost like you're buying like a barrel of oil, it's
All
crude
right.
oil. Do whatever you want with it.
In my young age, I was much more sporadic with my Legos, where I'd like build it and then I would like take it apart and then use the pieces for whatever. But these days, I'm in it for the sets. I'm in it for building the builds. I'm not trying to do anything too crazy. I'm not that creative when it comes to Legos anymore. It's whack, the Lego industry. You can buy Legos by the pound on the interweb.
I
Buy
think
them by the piece.
I think that's how you know there's a problem. Buy it on the
Yeah.
black market.
Just buy the directions and then buy it piece by piece, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just waiting for this one piece in the mail, man, and then I'm gonna finally have that fucking Death Star.
Yo, let me text my Lego guy. He's got the hookup.
Oh, you're looking for Z12 X9 4433 D2. Wait, Dylan, do you hear that in the distance? That drum beat
Oh
kicking
wow.
in.
Oh, it sounds like it might be getting fuzzy soon. I'm excited.
Oh, that bass coming in.
It's
It,
so nice.
it looks like it might be showtime. Welcome to Strange Conversations, where rock and roll isn't dead, it's just playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Austin Kenny.
I'm Dylan Bennett.
And this week, we don't have one album in particular. There's just a lot going on in music these days, and we just thought it'd be best to I should just check in with each other, see where we're at music wise, and with the show we've been. Oh, we always stick to one album per episode, but it's not all we listen to in the span of a week. I just wanted to check in with you, Dylan, my man. What have you been listening to? Let's maybe do this one by one, sort
Yeah.
of. Like, you start off with an album, I'll come at you with an album, and we'll just see where the conversation goes.
Yeah. It's been a big week, and I feel like we're gonna quickly find that we'll be knee deep in new releases to sprinkle the show with. But I am glad that we're getting to do this sort of just random assorted things, because I have found that past week and a half, I've just been listening to a bunch of different things from all different angles. One thing that I think maybe the only thing that's been pretty unfamiliar, or not unfamiliar, but pretty new to me, that's not something I've just been going back to listen to a lot, is the band the Magnetic Fields, who are pretty, as far as like 90s indie rock goes. I guess they've got their place on the on the mountain. Especially their album Get Lost, which I believe is from like 95 or 96, and it's just really, really good. It reminds me a lot of indie rock now, like even more so than something like Pavement or Yo La Tango. Like Magnetic Fields remind me of kind of like Sandy Alex G or some of the weirder, quirkier stuff.
When I listened to it, to me it was like goth beat happening is how I would
very twee, very twee,
very lo-fi, but kind of like dark wave sort of sound on top of it.
Yeah, that's what I really like about it. It's like mixing the sort of real simple like twee songs that are about like like being like getting stuck in the rain and like falling like head over heels in love, but then it's got this cool sort of synthy like bass, and kind of easily well transitions to another one of the things I've been listening to. Reminds me a lot of Black Marble, and I think that's maybe why I've been listening to the two so much, like in tandem, is that the Magnetic Fields are kind of reminding me of like if Black Marble was also like very twee and very sort of beat happening. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, man, I always just like feel like I'm in a weird musical void. That's just me probably overthinking what I'm listening to. But I guess one album that I have just been hooked on for a while now is Silver Jews American Water, the band Silver Jews, and the album American Water. Steve Berman, is that his name, right?
David Berman, right?
David Berman. David Berman, Stephen Malkmus, and Bob Nastanovich. Bob Nastanovich and Stephen Malkmus are from Pavement, and so that was kind of one of the main reasons that I started listening to the album. But also too, just I knew, after David Berman passed, I just heard a lot about them being a very influential band and stuff, so I wanted to check them out. And David Berman just being a really good songwriter. It's like a country sort of Americana type album. I can only describe it to be like kind of a early folk music, I guess, sort of. It's super Pavement-y as well. It's just got like that Stephen Malkmus twang on top of it. Yeah, I don't have like a ton of stuff to say about it. It's just like a really fun album to listen to. Like David Berman just like is a really great lyricist and writes some really fun stuff.
They're a band that a lot like the Magnetic Fields. I feel like I keep seeing them on like recommendations, and like other fans of this band listen to this band, and I really to this day I still don't think I've yet to actually listen to a single song. I feel like I really should
listen to American Water.
Yeah.
You really have to listen to American Water. It is like a Pavement album essentially. Cool. And it's just got some awesome songs on it. There's this one song, People, that's just got such a good funky bass line in it. And then there's this like funny song called like Honk If You're Lonely Tonight, about like hooking up on the road with like truckers, I guess. a super fun album, and their first album too is really great. Oh, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. I just like Stephen Malcolmus, whatever he does. Really, I think that plays a big part in it, just because I like his voice, and he does like backup vocals in this, which is cool to hear.
That's cool.
And David Berman just has like a similar sort of that kind of nonchalant style of singing. I don't really know how to describe it, but they both just kind of have this like very laid back attitude as they sing. It just works well together, kind of like the Halo Benders.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson and what's the name of Doug Marsh?
Doug Marsh, yeah.
From Built to Spill. They just like the way their voices kind of blend together and stuff. It's just it kind of reminds me of that. Honestly, better. I definitely like the Silver Jews more than I like the Halo Benders. I think even only at a very early listening to them, but check that album out for sure. That's definitely number one on the things I've been listening to recently.
That's
also sick. Also with the summer vibes, I enjoy some good, that LA garage stuff. Epsilons is Ty Seagal's very first band. It's like 06, 07, or when their albums came out. In 08 is when he met John Dwyer and released his self-titled album on Castle Face. But Epsilons is the band before that, and they're so just so fun. They're, the audio quality isn't like anything great because it's like I think it's like his high school band, honestly. But
yeah,
Michael Cronin might be in it. I'm not 100% certain, but it's just an awesome band. They have, I don't know, their albums like aren't all like 10 out of 10, like top to bottom amazing. They just have like some songs that I really like and are fun to like listen to with the windows down and really loud.
Great summer tunes like Sunshine is such a good just like driving around song or just like chilling outside.
So many songs like that. So yeah,
you're talking about the Silver Jews actually reminded me one of the bands that I've been listening to because I got their record on vinyl the other day because the label they're from, Hardly Art, was doing like a lot of the proceeds going to different like Black Lives Matter groups and just different organizations around the country. And the band I got was Level Up. They're actually not around anymore. They broke up in I think 2018, but the album Hoodwinked has a song on it. The whole album is really, really good, but the album has a song on it called I Feel Extra Natural, and it's got like a line. Like basically the whole song is the singer singing about how he feels when he listens to the Silver Jews. And so there's like a line in it where he's like, and that's how I feel when I listen to the Silver Jews.
Yeah, I listened to that song before the episode. I tried to listen to a few of the things that you put on your list. And yeah, I heard that song and I was like, whoa, what a coinky dink.
Yeah, they have a really cool, like, it's kind of like, it's like garage rock meets bedroom pop. It's like a very like lo-fi fuzzy poppy sound, like physically like really poppy and fuzzy and crackly sound, but it's like a full band. And they get some really cool like fuzz, like overdriven fuzz tones on their guitars, but the songs are all like really melodic. They all have like really solid like hooks underneath. It's a shame that I'm just now getting into them because they, like I said, are no more. I'll have to try to track down where the different people in the band ended up like heading to for other projects.
I actually remember finding out about Level Up when working at WHWS. Shout out to the radio station that I guess it united Dylan and I.
The mothership.
It's what made this podcast possible today. But when I was the music director there, I listened to like a bunch of CDs to pick what we would keep and what we wouldn't keep, and Level Up was one of the CDs that I found because it wasn't too often that you would find like one that you'd be like, whoa, this is actually really cool. I remember I think it probably was their llast album that I remember listening to at the station. It's like, oh, this is actually a pretty solid album, and
I don't know
I haven't listened to them a bunch then. That album didn't hook me as much as the songs I heard off of this one, Hoodwinked, that you have been listening to. I definitely like kind of it's definitely a lot more blown out, the sound in this album, which I like more, just that like Yeah, overdrive guitar kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't actually listened to any of their stuff off any of their other albums yet, but I'll have to check them out. But this album I really like a lot, and I hope it's similar. I imagine the songwriting is very similar. Maybe the production quality is a little different, but maybe I shouldn't admit this over air, but I definitely still have quite a lot of CDs that I took from the radio station.
Yeah, me too. It's
A lot of
okay.
great CDs. You
Me
get them
too.
you get them in the mail, you let them sit in the station for a couple weeks, and then once the new batch comes in, you just put them in your car.
Yeah, well, I also gave a lot of CDs to the system. I didn't leave them at the station. I downloaded them into the autoplay thing. So, every once in a while, one CD that I put in just plays top to bottom.
Do you have any like specific what's the best find you got, or like one that you hung on to?
There's actually a lot. I got a lot. I got Ty Siegel's 2017 self-titled Ty Siegel Built to Spill Untethered Moon. It's one of their later ones, but it's all right. There's a good. I got like some Alex G. I got Rocket and
Oh man,
DSU.
you got all the first picks, so I
Yeah,
guess that makes sense.
I got Human Performance, Parquet Course. I probably should should stop here. I gave them all back in the end. I gave them all back
To the people.
to the
I did
people.
not. I will admit, there's a couple that I did not give back. I still have Mets, their second album. I always forget the name of it, but I recognize it because the song "Drained Lake" is on it, and I think it's the first song, and it's just such a good album. It's so heavy, and like they kind of remind me of if Lightning Bolt wrote songs that were just a little bit less insane, but still very intense, but a little more catchy, and like you can kind of understand, like there's a singer and a vocalist, and like you can sort of understand the shape of the songs a little bit more, but still just like real intense, really good heavy noise rock. And I also still have Amen Dune's album Freedom, which is phenomenal album. I really love that album, and I love how different, how much like of a departure it was from his earlier stuff, because it's almost like reminds me kind of like Bruce Springsteen or something. It's very like Heartlands rock, where all of his other earlier stuff was kind of very like lo-fi folk and kind of like just like very stripped down singer songwritery.
How have you been finding most of like your new music recently? Like, where do you go to
Well,
find new things to listen to?
yeah. Unfortunately, I still am kind of a pawn to Spotify. What I try to do now is like, I still do try to listen to my Discover Weekly playlists, but one of the things I've actually kind of found more reliable for finding things that I'll be interested in is I find that like the Discover section, especially the ones that recommends albums based on other artists you've been listening to a lot, I find that gives me some good recommendations. One of the ways I actually like a big crop of recent things that I've been listening to, I found from this CD compilation from, I believe it's from Mojo magazine, that my dad gave me a really really long time ago. Like this is like new music, but it's new music from like early 2019. And so I just had this CD that like Mojo gives out, like with every issue they give like a different themed CD, and this was just new music themed, and it had a bunch of different just like super solid songs on it from a bunch of different artists I'd never heard of. And so I've been like trying to get more into those artists that I've been listening to, and from a lot of different like diverse range of genres. One being this kind of a super group. They're called Modern Nature, and they're made up of members of Beak and also members of former member of Ultimate Painting, which was like they're a kind of a Velvet Undergroundy type sort of like
I
lo-fi
knew I
garage
knew
rock.
you were gonna use Velvet Underground to
They have
describe
that
them.
one song that sounds so much
I knew it.
like it's
I
trying to
listened to
be.
it, and well, I mean, I thought the same thing, but I was like, I know I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna wait till Dylan says
Yeah.
Undergroundy, but I know it's coming.
Mhm. It's true, but Modern Nature is nothing like Ultimate Painting. They've got this really, to borrow a term, I guess my dad, I was trying to explain it to him, and he said like pastoral is like the way they sound. It's this really cool. it sounds a lot like Beak, if anyone's familiar with Beak, Beak, and then like the arrow symbol. They have just this really strange synthy, like krautrock inspired jammy sound that gets real weird at some points, but I think it's very much just about like them playing around on synthesizers a lot. But Modern Nature is like mixing that with folk music and jazz. It's got this really cool jazzy synth like solo throughout it. It's this very literally the song is called Supernature and the band is called Modern Nature, and it just makes me think of like a song that someone like would listen to on an acid trip like in a forest. Like it's very just like psychedelic-y nature songs.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate description.
Like what you been going to for new music?
Oh yeah, to find new music, I've been honestly Instagram has been a really great resource in the sense where I've been following a lot of like music magazines and stuff as of recent, like a DIY magazine, Loud and Quiet.
You listen to Maximum Rock and Roll? They're pretty great for they're pretty no really they're pretty great for like a lot of underground punk and post punk stuff.
I thought you were talking about that magazine Maxim.
No, no, no.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like a
Maximum
swimsuit.
Rock and Roll. No.
I thought you were talking like that magazine had like a rock and roll section.
Oh, dude, I get all my music recommendations from Hustler, Penthouse.
A lot of different things like that are kind of where I have been finding a lot of new things. Also, I've been listening to a lot of radio recently, namely KEXP and WFMU. I think I talked about it briefly, maybe one episode. It's so nice to listen to like a good DJ. I like this one show, Wake and Bake with Clay Pigeon. It's on WFMU. It's in the mornings, and he's a weird, a goofy dude, and it's a great way for me to get up and go to work. KEXP is just like a pretty solid playlist throughout the day. You can't go wrong turning that on. There's like always like something in like cool to find. WFMU can like get way out there sometimes.
It can get way weird. I remember the first time I tuned in, Austin recommended me like to listen to it, and I tuned in, and it was the middle of the day, and so I guess there's a middle of the day show, and I forget. It's so funny because the description of like the DJ and the show, it's literally, I'm pretty sure it just is like, it says like Bryce, like or something like that. Like the name of the DJ is like single word, and like really nondescript, and then like the description of the show, not even a description of the show, it's like I always show up on time, I always leave on time. My records exactly. Like but they man, like he or she or they played the craziest like contemporary like classical type music, like avant-garde stuff. And I heard this artist Nick Storing through that, and I listened to his first album, and it's just really, really out there, but really cool. Definitely like cracking the brain open, like new way to kind of look at type music.
So things like that have been just like super eye-opening for me. One person who's just been talked about a lot, and I feel like a lot of magazines and just like publications as of recent, is Phoebe Bridgers. I feel like she's just kind of been everywhere since she released her first album, and her new album Punisher just came out last week on June 18th this year of 2020. It's so good. She's just a really great songwriter. She has such a beautiful voice. Over the past like I don't even know when her first album is like 2017, 2018. I'm not 100% certain. Just like in the span between these two albums, she has worked with so many artists. She was in that like super group Boy Genius with Lucy Dacus and Julian Baker.
Yes.
Julian Baker, right? Boy Genius. So like, she was in that group. She was in the Better Oblivion Community Center with Connor Oberst, which is a really great album too, which if you haven't listened to that, I would recommend. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did because I'm not like super into Bright Eyes. It's an awesome album. So yeah, she's just been like doing so many things with so many different artists and like touring with so many people, and it just kind of shows on this album, kind of like the like growth and just yeah, I don't know, just talent that she has, and she's so early in her career. Oh, it's just it's so good. I just like it's sad and it's funny,
Don't talk
and
about it too much. We'll probably end up reviewing it.
yeah, it's a good album. That's all I can say. But yeah, Phoebe Bridgers. Kind of on that note too, Soccer Mommy. They actually toured together at one point. Color Theory, Soccer Mommy's most recent album, came out in February. It's great. Soccer Mommy, again, another like kind of funny, sad artist, just great songwriter. Another person who's been talked about a lot in the music realm these days. She's also just been doing both Soccer Mommy and Phoebe Bridgers have been donating a lot of album sales and stuff like that to a lot of great organizations, from COVID relief to Black Lives Matter and things like that. So yeah, they're just
Yeah.
great musically and great people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's kind
always
of
good to get reaffirmed love of, the artists you love when you see like, oh, they're great people too. Not always the case, unfortunately. In this case, it is great to see that. An artist I'd heard about like before this I listened to this CD, but got back into because one of their songs was on it, is Umdu Mokhtar, who's comes from a genre that's kind of like known as Tuareg guitar, which is, I don't want to be like wrong about the geography, but I believe it's from kind of like North Saharan desert area Africa, especially Arabic desert, like Arabic North African countries, and I want to say kind of specifically Mali, but I'm not positive, and so I don't want to say anything wrong and be like, that guy, stands by like being wrong. Somebody comment if you know better. But he's from a genre known as like Tuareg guitar music, which is essentially a sort of Arabic style of guitar playing, but the Tuareg people like electrified it, like literally like took influence from a lot of like classic rock and like Zeppelin and just like blues rock, and like fused it all together into this really really cool, basically just like insane desert rock. And it's got just this amazing, like it's so evocative of just like the idea of just like these massive sand dunes and like kind of like a stereotypical like planet Earth image of the Sahara. But the music really is like absolutely astounding. It's sung in Arabic. It's amazing guitar playing, like insane musicianship. Mamdou Mokhtar is the band leader, the singer, and the guitar player. But I believe the band has two guitars and a drummer. I actually don't think they have a bass player. But like just like the grooves they lay down are so interesting because you can hear the American rock and like electric blues influence, but then it's got this whole other element of like Arabic melodies, Arabic scales, Arabic just general musical influence that it makes this thing that's distinctly amazing and really accessible for like I think westernized ears. And I think it's where I'm trying to use like as a springboard, a launching off point to get more into Arabic language music and just like general African Arabic speaking and Middle Eastern Arabic speaking music, because it's really really cool to kind of think about the different tone centers and musical theory that they use, that ends up with music that really sounds totally different to our ears that are so used to things like like four chord blues and like major and minor scales and things like that.
there's a really great band called Imaran. All right, yeah, Imaran. Yeah, they're from I think they're from Algeria, maybe, but they're a really great like rock band that again I found through WHWS. We got one of their CDs in one time,
No
but
way.
yeah, they're a really cool band, and I guess I don't need to say too much more because you already know 'em.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of their songs. There's a lot of great ones. I recommend, like, if people are interested in what these bands sound like, I feel like I could go on forever. But Inna Rowen, I could be pronouncing that wrong. I could also be saying it possibly wrong. But they have an amazing song called AWAL September. It's like AWAL and then new word September. And they're another amazing band. Look up Sahel Sounds, Sahel, and then Sounds, separate word. They're a music label who specializes in these types of bands, and especially electric rock bands and just different artists and like guitar based artists from sort of like North Africa, from Saharan Africa, from the Middle East. And they're an amazing source to go to get more information and just more artists in this genre, because I'm totally new to it. I don't want to pretend to know, or be an expert. I've just what I've read about it. I always realize that the bands that end up making the biggest impression, and the bands that have made the biggest impression on my tastes and on my like listening habits, I've always not necessarily gelled with what I've heard at first. Like it always slightly not like it's not that I hate it, but it's always kind of like confounds or confuses me or like displaces me, or takes a second for me to really come up with a solid understanding and like opinion on it. And then I always find that with time it just grows and grows and grows on me, and it ends up making like a huge impression. Like I think the first time I heard the Velvet Underground, it was exactly that. Like I remember them being the Velvet Underground, but not really knowing what they sounded like, and having this expectation that was completely shattered by what they sounded like, and being really unsure of how I felt about it for a really, really long time, until like it just grows on you. I felt the exact same way with Preoccupations. I remember really thinking that they were going to be just kind of like Joy Division, and hearing that self-titled Viet Cong album, and just kind of having everything I like thought kind of like broken open, and then coming to terms with it over a very long time, and then just becoming obsessed with that album, like absolutely obsessed with that album. And I find that process repeats with new albums and new artists like all the time.
You were kind of talking about Preoccupations sounding sort of Joy Division-y, and another band I've been listening to recently that's kind of in that realm, that I feel like you are definitely a fan of, or you've mentioned in the past, but I've been listening to Ott a little bit recently.
Yeah. Oh my God, that first album.
Yeah.
So freaking good.
Yeah, no, they're super cool. And I was listening to a bit of them recently, and I was like, this is definitely a Dylan band that like it's that I guess it's would you say it's the American side of post punk, when it's like the
Yeah, they have
Devo,
that sort of
Devo voice,
yes,
like that
exactly.
Talking Heads, like that bobbly, like
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's that sort of it's like
B-52s.
yes, I get like huge like David Byrne sort of like manic kind of like rant kind of vibes from Tim Darcy, the lead singer. He actually, funnily enough, that first album, he's so like he's like playing. He's not playing a character, but he's doing this like really interesting. Like I totally love it. I'm really into the sort of like weird mannerism, like not sort of singing, but kind of like doing this spiel almost over the songs. But he actually has a solo album. If you look up Tim Darcy, he has a single solo album called Saturday Night that's just really good, really straightforward, really phenomenal, really well written, like indie rock. Like it's not post punky. It doesn't sound like Ott. They're just like really, really solid songs. And he actually like sings, and you can understand what he's saying, and they're like really, I mean, he's an amazing writer. Like you can tell from Ott that he's like a really sharp guy, and he's got like a lot of ideas, and he spits them all out at once. But like on his solo album, they're like songs with great hooks, like great lyrics, and it's a solid album. I have it on vinyl too. I have the Ott's first album on vinyl, and I have that album on vinyl, and they're both just like phenomenal. I actually can't wait for him to do another solo album. I wasn't crazy about Ott's most recent album, but I like their first two a lot, and I really love their EP that has a pill on it. I'm excited to see what they do next. I wasn't totally in love with the most last album. I thought it was a bit of a disappointing kind of change in direction, but still excited for what they do, and really excited to see what Tim Darcy does if he does another solo album, because I'd really love to see that again. I think you would really, really like that album.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I will check it out. And Dylan, I think before we click on these hot new singles that are popping up on our screen right now, because whew, are they some hot new singles? We should take a quick break, because we got a whole bunch of stuff that we've been working on that we are excited to share with all of our listeners.
We've been cooking up hot fire lately. I think maybe the the biggest, and most exciting thing that we have coming tomorrow, as of recording. I guess it'll technically already. It'll
Yeah,
already.
you gotta remember the
Yeah. I gotta
timelines. You
remember that
gotta remember the
I'm in the
timelines.
past right now. I'm trapped in the past. But
It's Thursday. We're talking to people on Thursday
on
right now.
Thursday. So in that case, it's been 2 days since the first episode of the Strange Campaign has been out, and I'm assuming that
Session
all of you,
0.
I assume that all of you have listened to it. You know all about our heroes, Belwyn, Cal, and Maximon, and I hope that you are excitedly waiting for their first adventure. We're going to be releasing those every Tuesday. It's going to be totally different from this podcast. It's not really going to be, it's not like a review. It's not like a discussion of like Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's us playing. It's a story. It's, you're going to hear table talk. You're going to hear strategizing and gameplay. And it's like following that narrative and following, our role players and their heroes, something to get involved in as we go on this journey. I'm DMing for the first time. Austin's playing a big turtle boy for the first time.
Yeah, it's my first time being a turtle boy.
Stuff.
Check out the Strange Campaign. You can follow our Instagram. You can follow our Instagram, strange.convo.pod, to find out more about that. Also, another place you can now check out for all of your strange conversations needs is the strangeconvopod.squarespace.com. It's our new website. Again, that link is strangeconvopod.squarespace.com. And you can find our playlists there. You can find links to all the episodes, as well as links to the Strange Campaign episodes. Dylan and I eventually, hopefully, maybe by the time this episode's out, our articles will be up. I don't know, but we are hoping to have our own articles up. We also want to open the submission to you, our listeners. If you have a review about a favorite album that you want to send us, any just opinion on something musical in the world, yeah, I don't know. You send it our way at strange.conversations.cast I always say the Gmail as an at. It's strange.conversations.cast@gmail.com. Send in your submissions there, and we'll post them on our website for everyone to read. Please send something our way. We would love to read it.
Another thing you can send our way, if you know what I mean, we finally got
really sounds really dirty.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on what you're into, but we got a Patreon up and running, and that you can find through our contact us page on our website. We, as we get more invested in this, as we start doing little side things and different events and having you guys involved more, I think we might start breaking into some swag maybe in the future. And I think being a Patreon subscriber or a supporter, even if it's like literally $1, literally a cent, a little bit of love, a little bit of cheddar cheese, they'll get you first in line on the merch, the merch swag train. Maybe get you a Strange Convo button or sticker or T-shirt, hat. Who knows? Could be anything. Look, you could be a interviewee on our next episode if you're not a weirdo. So hit up that Patreon, mom and dad.
Please, mom. Oh man, whew, Dylan, we got a couple hot singles this week.
They steamy.
They smoking. They're in your area too.
Sweating.
They're actually they're not in your area. No bands will be in your area for a long time.
They're in a 6 foot. Did you see actually the Flaming Lips they did?
Yeah, the bubble concert.
I'll buy one of those.
Yeah, that's the most Flaming Lips concert that could have ever happened.
Yeah.
We should start with the most burning hot single. And one we're both most excited for, I'd say, and that's Idol's with their new single Grounds.
I definitely like the song a lot. I still do think that like it just has maintained my hype. I liked Mr. Motivator a little more. I like Grounds. I like the idea that I like seeing them and hearing them playing with like some synthesizer tones. It's a real energizing song. In like minimum one per idol song, there's a moment where he quotes, rhyme or jingle or like folk thing, and the I like the fee fi fo fum
Yeah,
in
fee
this
fee
song.
fi fi fo fo fum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sweet song.
I was honestly gonna say this is like one of my favorite Idol songs. I don't know, it just like has an energy that gets me so amped up. I love it. I don't know. There's Idols are a band that some of their songs are kind of hit or miss, where they're either
Which
like
ones? Name them.
not miss. I miss is a harsh term, but like I my favorite songs by them, Never Fight a Man with the Perm, I'm Scum, Colossus, like kind of the front half of Joy. A lot of bangers. And then the other songs I still like, but they just like aren't they don't have like the same hook for me as some as like those ones. It's a song that I've been listening to when I'm driving home from work, and I listen to it very loud in my car,
Oh yeah.
and that tone just like is that like whittleloop whittleloop in the
Yeah.
in the beginning.
It
It just like, oh, that like it gets so low at the end, and it just like, oh, I can just like feel it in my gut, and I'm like, oh, can you feel that thunder? Yeah. Oh yeah, I can
yeah.
feel that thunder, Idols.
Man, whenever if ever we go back to the real world and live music becomes a thing again, you got to see them live cuz they absolutely tear it up live. I seeing the OCs was insane and like life-changing, and they were phenomenal, but I was like expecting them to be phenomenal. I had no expectations for Idols because I hadn't really prepped myself, hadn't watched any live videos. I was just really starting to get into them more, and I was almost more excited to see Preoccupations, who were opening. Idols absolutely destroyed it. Like the most insane, energetic, like engaged live show I've ever seen. The
Mm,
craziest, most confident stage presence. Phenomenal. Like I think best live show I've ever seen. If I'm being
well,
honest, best live performance I've ever seen. And it just made me fall in love with those songs and that album more. And so, man, I really hope by the time I think September the album comes out in September. I really just hope that I know that there's going to be a second wave. I know there's going to be another quarantine in the fall, but I really just hope that like maybe by like January or something like that, we'll get tours again.
yeah.
I just want it. I want to see him again.
Speaking of live shows, Fontaine's DC, their band that I got to see when I was in Ireland. I saw them at a free show in Galway, this venue called the Roshan Dove, and it was awesome. They were so good live, and it was, it was before anybody knew them. Everyone there started a music podcast after, there's the legacy they left behind. So I'm just kind of filling the shoes there. But Fontaine's DC put out their second single for their upcoming album. This single called "I Don't Belong." It's solid. I like it. I don't like it as much as their first single, "A Hero's Death," which I really love. It's
Yeah, it
you know
sounds
one,
great.
one of my favorite Fontaine's DC songs. Honestly, I think I'm just a sucker for singles. Sometimes they get me like really hyped up, and then I just like listen to them on repeat a lot.
It's
But
hard not to.
I like both like the Idols song and the first Fontaine singles. It's been like awesome, and just it's great. It's a great time for post punk. It's a great time for post punk.
Yeah. It's the Renaissance. It really is. I mean, I don't want to say it ever went away, but it definitely like partially it had to sort of go. We had to have a kind of an uncomfortable amount of bands that were just basically kind of like totally copying the early formula. And we still do sort of see that in some way, but it had to happen so that now we have this wealth of bands that are both clearly referencing and in debt to like classic post punk, but are still doing really cool, exciting new stuff. And yeah, man, Ireland does it. Ireland does it well. I mean, Fontaines DC, one of my favorite bands also, girl band, is from Ireland,
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
yeah, they're from Dublin. Yeah, the Irish know how to make some strange noises and make some cool punk. Actually, to date, that CD I was talking about, where all those songs, those like old new songs were from, the first song on that CD is "Boys in a Better Land."
Oh, nice. It's a great,
Yeah.
great
If you're a
tune.
rock star, porn star, superstar,
Yeah,
doesn't
I
matter what
just
you
love the Irish. Both, I mean, both Idols and Fontaines DC. I think like one of the best parts about both of them is just like the
singing with an accent.
thick
Yeah.
accent. You know, it's not
Yeah.
just singing with an accent. It's thick, thick,
Yeah.
thick with a F for a TH. Got one more single here, do you, bro?
Going back across the pond and across the country over to the West Coast, the sunny West Coast. Actually, oh my God, 3 bands that we all got to see live from LA Witch, who, if I have to tell you where they're from, I feel like you should probably just look them up. They're called LA Witch. With a spooky single, I feel like spooky is a really good way to describe their sound and their vibe, but like in the best possible way. They kind of remind me a little bit of like the Cramps, not in necessarily the way like they sing, but just like that their music is this like perfect natural kind of like Halloween party soundtrack. It's real reverby, it's got this old kind of old school garage rock vibe, some like California vibes mixed in, but it's also just like spooky. Like, they're self-proclaimed witches. They've got spooky album art. One of their albums was called October. And so like, they love the spookiness, and I Want to Lose is real cool, sunny, wavy tune. Just like fits within that LA Witch sound. I absolutely fell in love with them while I was in Berlin. I remember finding out about one of their songs the summer before, or the winter break before I left, and then being absolutely amazed when I found out that they were actually playing in Berlin while I was there. And I went to go see them actually while Ainsley was visiting. And we went and saw them together, and they just rip it up. I mean, for a 3-piece, they're absolutely amazing because they just like phenomenal use of like the reverb drenched guitar, like just absolutely dripping with reverb. Really, really, really tastefully well done and absolutely stellar. Like, I feel like it's like spooky surf music.
Well, Dylan, I was supposed to come in here hot with a new Metal and Monsters, a classic bit ranging back to episode,
Three,
back in one of the early episodes. Don't even remember now. There was nothing. I couldn't think of anything. I was trying to like, I have books that I didn't think you would have things, but it was really the name of the metal albums. I couldn't find anything. You're too attuned to like
I think I
D&D
can give you.
language right now.
I'm gonna give you some right off the fly. I'm gonna open up the internet, and I'm gonna open up my monster manual,
All right.
and I'm gonna quiz you.
All right.
You'll have to figure it out. I'll have to figure it out. And forgive us if this seems like I am reading off the top of my head, because I actually am reading off the top of my head. All right. So, this is going to be metal bands or Dungeons and Dragons monster.
Okay.
So, the first one, do you think that Whatcha is a metal band or a Dungeons and Dragons monster?
Whatcha. I think that sounds like a metal band, probably.
If you had to guess where they were from, where would you say?
Like New Zealand?
They are from Sweden, and they are a black metal band.
Dang. Yeah, that name just had the metal twang to it.
Yeah.
Fantasy's a lot more in the throat. I feel like Lord of the Rings kind of set that. The names are very like, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. All right. So, for the second choice, do you believe that Dimmu Borgir is a Dungeons and Dragons monster or a metal band?
Say it one more time.
Dimmu Borgir.
Dimmu Borgir. I'm gonna guess is like some big old D&D monster.
Eh.
No,
It is
metal
a
band.
Norwegian black metal band.
Oh, dang.
Their mix of brutality and grandiosity evokes a Dario Argento classic like Suspiria or Deep Red,
Those
run through
words,
the filter of Scandinavian darkness.
those words mean nothing to me. I hope that's not what our listeners hear when they listen to us talk.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna give you 5 to see if you can get a majority on 5. You're 1 for 1 right now. 1 for 2. 1 and 1. Scoreboard's loaded.
All right.
What do you believe Nalfenchi is?
Now Fenchy. Is it a metal band?
Eh.
Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Nalfeshni.
no.
Nalfeshni.
Oh, that changed. I feel like that changes it so
Does it?
much.
Does it? Does it?
It does. It does. It changes everything.
Nalfeshni
No,
is.
the Fetchny makes it sound very Swedish, and I was thinking you're looking at like a Swedish metal band page. So I think that's a miss. I'm gonna call that one a miss point, and we're gonna need a redo.
All right. All right. What do you believe Labrezu is?
Glabrezu. That's a tough one. Glabrezu, I'm going to say, is a metal band.
Labrezu is a demon from Dungeons and Dragons. He is a large fiend. He is chaotic evil. And he is a mean looking boy. He's got scissors for hands. He's got 2 sets of hands. He's got some nasty horns. He's got 4 arms. Yeah, not a nice looking guy.
Those are the kind of those are the kind of monster descriptions you can expect from Dylan in The Strange Campaign, our new podcast.
Exactly. All right. 2 more and then we done. Let's see. Right now you're 3 and 1. So
I think it's
you
too
can
late.
maybe at least tie it up here.
Yeah.
What do you think Orancy Pazuzu is?
Rancy Pazuzu is a metal band.
Yes. They are a Finnish metal band. Their last record was called Verheteligia, I think.
Yeah.
And it apparently was the most unsettling metal. Oh, sorry, what was that?
How can you not pronounce that, dude?
It's a
classic. It's a classic.
Dude, it's apparently the most unsettling metal album of 2016.
Oh, wow.
It can be loosely
only
categorized.
2016, no. Only of 2016.
They can be loosely categorized as a black metal band with psychedelic elements. Huh. This actually sounds kind of cool. Their music provides a hypnotic listening experience that swarms the mind with all sorts of terrifying demons, voices, and specters. The acid trip has gone bad. The lights are going back and forth.
That doesn't sound very cool to me.
It sounds like really scary, but it also, I feel like, is like what metal should be. Like, all you Metallica wannabes are nothing compared to Orancy Pazuzu. The voices are screaming every horrifying thought you ever had. Man. Yeah, this doesn't sound like pleasant at all. I don't know why anyone want to listen to this. At last, sidestepped the confines of the tag black metal. Their 69-minute opus folds in krautrock, electric Miles Davis, stoner, thrasher, and more, finding the band lost, wonderfully, strangely, somewhere between heaven and hell. Whoa. This actually doesn't sound that bad. I'm kind of digging it. Maybe I'll give them a listen. I'll give you a report. In the next episode, we'll find out if I lost my sanity. And
I want to let our listeners know this is not going to be a metal podcast.
All right.
If Dylan does come back as a metalhead next episode.
Last one. 2 and 3. You have a chance to tie it up here. What will it be? What do you think Barlgura is?
D&D monster.
Yes. Barlgura Barlgura is a very big gorilla-like looking demon.
It's the
He's
it's the throat. I was telling you, it's like the girl.
yeah.
It's like that throat
Barlgura.
guttural sound.
I feel like there are a lot of metal bands that have names like that though too, like Meshuggah.
But it's like I feel like it's up there more. Meshuggah, it's like up. It's like you're not going down with the throat. You're more in the front of your mouth when you're saying it.
True. Yeah, Barlgura is a big gorilla looking guy with red hair, blue skin, really strong looking arms and gross teeth. And
I fought with Balgoro in the past.
on many occasion my blade
It
has
was
failed.
not the first encounter I've had.
And
All right, I
that
feel like we gotta have a tiebreaker, right? We gotta have a tiebreaker.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
It's 3-3.
Right. I guess you're right. I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Or is it 3-3? Or are we counting wrong?
It is. It is 3-3.
It is 3-3. All right.
I gotta find good options though, because I gotta find one good metal band and one good monster, and then I'm gonna pick which one I'm gonna read to you, and that will determine if you're the true metal or monster, guy.
Dude, can I do it? Am I the master
All
of
right.
the Eminem master?
All right.
Eminem.
Is it a metal band or a D&D monster? Sahwagin.
Sahwagin. Say it one more time to me.
Sahwagin.
Metal band.
I am so sorry. Sahwagin are D&D monsters. They are devils of the deep. They roam the fog-shrouded coasts and endless ocean swells. An ominous drone sounds on a conch shell, chills the blood of all who hear it. They basically are like fish people. They're like
I was
gross-looking fish
thinking
people.
I was thinking D&D because of the throat. It had a little bit of that throat sound, but I was like, did he find a metal band that has throat sound and he's trying to throw me off? I was thinking too deeply about it.
I'm sorry. It was that. That was the D&D monster, and I was debating between reading that or Hantarash, who is a metal band. Yeah. Well, try. Better luck next time.
Better luck next time. That was, of course, everyone's favorite Metal and Monsters, our classic bit here on Strange Conversations. Check
I
out
think that's a perfect
Strange
segue to the playlist.
Yeah, the playlist and the podcast. Strange Conversations. Both of them. No, Strange Campaign. We just put Strange in front of everything now.
It's getting real disorienting. At a certain point, we'll run out of other words.
But Strange Campaign playlist has a selection of songs that they're just like kind of D&D inspired, I guess. They aren't quite like exactly part of the campaign, but they're just some fun songs that got some fantasy elements in them.
I'll be mad. I won't demand to be compensated, but I'll go to my grave feeling like I should be compensated. But I really think that like it's such a no-brainer idea that I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. But I really think John Dwyer needs to gather like some of his like garage rock, like psych rock buddies, like Ty, like Corey Hansen, like they've gotten King Giz. They did a Castle Face. They did a Castle Face like single. I think get the singer of King Giz. Get whoever you can. Get Bridget Dawson. Get a roster of just weird psychedelic people, and do a like psych rock themed Dungeons and Dragons podcast where like
that'd be so, and they score
John,
it. They do
yeah,
the album,
and then they score it. That was what I was saying. And then they score it. Like John is DM or somebody's DM, and they like go on this like psych rock, just like crazy, like weirdo adventure. And then it's just got like a ripping soundtrack of just like totally weird, like psych rock, freak metal, jazz, prog stuff.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And if you do it, I just ask that you be my friend forever.
Just let Dylan play one session. That's all he needs. All right, Dylan, I guess to wrap things up here this episode, since we don't have like one specific album that we were talking about, what is your takeaway album? What's the one that you've been listening to recently that you want our listeners to listen to? I guess it doesn't have to be one, but as concise as you can be, what are the things our listeners should listen to?
I guess whatever they want, but no. All right. I think they should. I'm debating whether or not to do one I didn't mention or just to double down on one I already did. I think I will. I think I'm just gonna double down on. I don't. Come back to me. Come back to me. You go first.
All right. I'll go first. Mainly because you said you haven't listened to it, but American Water by Silver Jews is a phenomenal album that you have to check out. And also Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher, because we might potentially do an episode on that soon. I don't know what our next episode is going to be. We'll probably talk about that in a minute. But yeah, American Water by the Silver Jews, Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. And hey, if you're looking for some good Sunshine music, check out Epsilon's, Ty Sequel's first band. They are a heckin' good time. So those are my takeaways. Dylan, we're coming back to you.
I'm going to go for an album that I neither wrote down nor mentioned because I kind of forgot about it. I feel bad for forgetting about it because I have been listening to it a ton and I've been absolutely loving it. And that is the album Common Era by the band Belong. And I literally know nothing about this band. They're on Spotify, but they don't have any information on their bio. And I have not been able to find really much of anything about them online. But I can tell you that the album, Common Era, is an absolutely crazy, amazing lo-fi shoegaze album. Synth shoegaze. It's just like this crazy cool, blown out lo-fi sound. It kind of sounds like if you just put a microphone down a well and like turn the delay and the reverb all the way up and somehow manage to get like an amazing like song out of it. But it's really it's just like a really meditative album. Like I'll find myself listening to the whole thing like pretty regularly throughout the week, like a couple of times throughout the week, because it's just a really good album to like do work to relax to like kind of set like a relaxed like contemplative headspace to. And I think I might have put one of the songs on one of our previous playlists. I think the lo-fi playlist. I put the song Perfect Life on our strange lo-fi playlist, and that is maybe my favorite song of theirs. But the album itself is absolutely phenomenal. Never Came Close, A Walk, Different Heart. I mean, Common Era, it's all great, it's all good, and it's a short album. It's 40 minutes, 9 songs, but it's fantastic. And I know absolutely nothing about this band, and I feel kind of bad about that, but I love it.
All right, so that is the episode for this week. Thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll do another album probably next week, so make sure to listen in again, because we don't know how to do outros.
Yeah, outro, more like awkward bit of silence.
Gwyneth Paltrow.